Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today. Today, the title of our story is Joseph, From the Pit to the Palace, a journey of faith, forgiveness, and God's plan. In a land long ago, there lived a young man named Joseph. Joseph was 17 years old, full of dreams, and always wore the biggest smile. He was one of 12 brothers.
Hi, I am Reuben.
My name is Simeon.
And I am Levi.
I am Judah.
My name is Dan.
I am Naphtali.
Hello, I am Gad.
My name is Asher.
I am Issachar.
My name is Zebulun.
Hello, I am Joseph, and I am the main character in this story.
And this is Benjamin. Yes, 12. That's a lot of brothers. But Joseph was his father Jacob's favorite. Why? Because Joseph was born to Jacob in his old age, and Jacob loved him dearly. One day, Jacob gave Joseph a very special gift, a coat of many colors. It wasn't just any coat. It was bright and beautiful, with reds, blues, yellows, and greens all woven together. Joseph twirled around in it, so proud. But his brothers weren't happy at all. They thought, why does Joseph get a special coat? Does Dad love him more than us? Joseph's brothers started to feel jealous. Very jealous. The big dreams. To make matters more interesting, Joseph had some very unusual dreams. One day he told his brothers, "Guess what? I dreamed we were binding sheaves of wheat in the field, and suddenly my sheaf stood upright, and your sheaves bowed down to mine." His brothers frowned. "You think you're going to rule over us, Joseph? Dream on!" But Joseph wasn't done. He had another dream. "This time I dreamed the sun, the moon, and 11 stars all bowed down to me." Even his father Jacob was a bit surprised. "Shall your mother and I bow to you too?" But Jacob kept Joseph's dreams in his heart, wondering what they might mean. The jealous brothers' plan. One day, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers, who were watching sheep in a far-off field. As Joseph approached in his colorful coat, his brothers whispered, "Here comes the dreamer. Let's get rid of him and see what becomes of his dreams." At first, they planned something terrible, but Reuben, the oldest brother, said, "Let's not hurt him. Let's just put him in a pit." Secretly, Reuben hoped to save Joseph later. So, when Joseph reached them, they grabbed him, took off his beautiful coat, and threw him into an empty pit. Poor Joseph cried out, but his brothers ignored him. Sold into Egypt. While they were eating lunch, a caravan of merchants passed by on their way to Egypt. Judah, another brother, had an idea. "Let's sell Joseph to these merchants. That way we won't hurt him, and we'll make some money too." The brothers agreed, and Joseph was sold for 20 pieces of silver. Off he went to Egypt, scared and unsure of what would happen next. From slave to ruler. In Egypt, Joseph was sold to a man named Potiphar, who was an officer of Pharaoh. Even though Joseph was far from home, God was with him. Everything Joseph did, God made successful. Potiphar noticed how hard-working and trustworthy Joseph was, and made him the ruler of his entire household. Things were going well until Potiphar's wife told a terrible lie about Joseph, and he was thrown into prison. But even in prison, God was with Joseph. The keeper of the prison noticed Joseph's honesty and kindness and put him in charge of all the other prisoners. Joseph, the dream interpreter. One day, two of Pharaoh's servants, the chief butler and the chief baker, had strange dreams. Joseph, with God's help, interpreted their dreams. To the butler, Joseph said, "In 3 days you'll be restored to your position." To the baker, he said, "In 3 days you'll be hanged." And it happened just as Joseph said. Joseph asked the butler, "Please remember me when you're back with Pharaoh." But the butler forgot about Joseph for 2 whole years. Pharaoh's dreams. One night, Pharaoh had 2 puzzling dreams. In one, 7 fat cows were eaten by 7 thin cows. In the other, 7 healthy ears of grain were swallowed by 7 thin ears. No one could explain the dreams, and Pharaoh was troubled. That's when the butler remembered Joseph. "Pharaoh, there's a man in prison who can interpret dreams." Joseph was brought before Pharaoh, and with God's wisdom he explained. The dreams mean there will be 7 years of plenty followed by 7 years of famine. Pharaoh should store food during the good years to prepare for the bad ones. Pharaoh was amazed. "There is no one as wise as you, Joseph. You shall be in charge of all Egypt." The reunion. Just as Joseph predicted, the famine came, and it even affected Joseph's family in Canaan. Jacob sent his sons to Egypt to buy food, but they didn't recognize Joseph, who was now dressed like an Egyptian ruler. Joseph tested his brothers to see if they had changed. When they showed love and care for their youngest brother Benjamin, Joseph couldn't hold back his tears. He revealed himself, saying,
I am Joseph, your brother.
The brothers were shocked and afraid, but Joseph said,
You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good.
A happy ending. Joseph forgave his brothers and invited his whole family to live in Egypt, where they would have plenty of food. Jacob was overjoyed to see his son again, and the family was reunited. What we can learn from Joseph's story. Forgiveness. Joseph forgave his brothers despite their betrayal, teaching us to let go of resentment and embrace reconciliation. Trusting God, even in his darkest moments, whether in the pit, prison, or palace, Joseph trusted God's plan. We, too, can find peace when we trust God through life's uncertainties. Honesty and integrity. Joseph maintained his integrity in Potiphar's house, reminding us that honesty is crucial, especially when faced with temptation. Dedication and hard work. Whether as a slave, prisoner, or governor, Joseph gave his best, showing the importance of diligence and faithfulness. God's sovereignty. Joseph's life reminds us that God can turn even the most challenging situations into blessings for his greater purpose. Thanks for watching.
Goodbye.